attention, please. I'd like to call to order presentation ceremony October 17. It's approximately 5:06 p.m. Our first presentation is a recognition of a detective. Chief.
Good evening. Mayor, City Council, City of Homestead employees, and guests, welcome to our presentation for the City of Homestead Police Officer of the Month for the month of August 2018. Here we're here to honor Detective Ryan Colley. Right now, up there joining us for the presentation is going to be Chief Alexander Roll, Jr., his command staff, beginning with Colonel Kennedy, Scott Kennedy, Captain Angela Washington, Captain Garland Wright, and I'm Captain Raymond DeJean. Also, his supervisor, Bryce Barker, Lieutenant Bryce Barker, who's over the General Investigations Unit. And of course, we have our Honorable Mayor up here with us. Officer Colley is being nominated. He was nominated for Officer of the Month for August 2018, and he subsequently awarded the award for his performance. He investigates primarily frauds within the General Investigations Unit. During the month of August, as always, he performs with excellence, and he began investigating a case that was involving fraud from bee natural honey. It was 2 employees that was basically embezzling, getting funds by defrauding people that were, customers, and it ultimately ended up in $76,000 in theft of honey. Basically, what they were doing was they were loading these barrels of honey, and most of them were filled with water. And it was approximately 50 gallons. And they were, ripping people off. He conducted an investigation, which led to the arrest of 2 employees, a husband and wife, and that case was, they were subsequently arrested, and the case was also featured in Miami New Times Magazine. It was called Miami's Biggest Honey Caper.
I have it right in my hand.
Also during the month of August, he began investigating a group of individuals that was defrauding John Deere authorized dealerships throughout South Florida. Specifically, one of the locations was here in Homestead at Richard's Tractor. Basically, people were opening up John Deere accounts, ordering parts, farm equipment, and even a tractor in one case, and they were using stolen credit cards to pay for these. He conducted the investigation, which led to the arrest of individuals involved, and it would result in over $10,000 in stolen equipment, which was also returned to the business, what he was able to recover. Also during the month of August, he began an investigation into which the City of Homestead was being defrauded. An individual was using stolen credit cards to pay for various utility bills. It was approximately, I believe it was about $800 worth of, no, correction. It was multiple bills that they were paying, and he ended up conducting a search warrant on the location with the person that was using the stolen credit cards, and they found numerous stolen items, including a firearm that was stolen from a law enforcement agency within the county. It was all recovered in the home. Again, that person went to jail, was arrested. Also during the month of August, a store located on West Mowry, which is across the street from the police station, advised that a subject had come in and cashed a check that was for $800. It was a stolen check. And now the subject had returned to the store and was trying to cash an additional check for approximately $406. Detective Colley responded and located the subject and with the assistance of individuals in GIU and located him and placed him under arrest. It's for these actions during the month of August, amongst other things that he does on a daily basis, that he is awarded Officer of the Month for the City of Homestead Police Department.
All right, Ryan's a fairly new officer with our police department. So when the chief asked my opinion on who I would like to be one of our investigators, I said, Chief, I'm going deep. He's like, yeah. I said, I'm going for a young one. He said, what? I said, Chief, I have total confidence that this guy's going to take fraud investigations somewhere where they've never been. And he has done that. And I'm glad to see that he's done so well. And so for that, presented to Detective Ryan Colley for being selected Officer of the Month, August 2018.
What's the joke going on between you and these guys in the back over here? Raul's causing trouble? Someone escort that gentleman out of here, please. It's a decorum policy. You fouled up, Raul. You got to go. No, really, seriously, I'd like to present you with a certificate of recognition. It basically says, Detective Ryan Colley, Homestead Police Department. With gratitude, we thank you for your distinguished service above and beyond the call of duty. The City of Homestead salutes you, Mayor and Council. Thank you, sir.
You know, people say that we don't listen. I do listen, and that's why he's here today with Officer of the Month. But also, I like to say that, you know, we always try to get the best of the best to come to Homestead PD, and we don't have to go all over the country to try to locate a fine police officer. We look right in our backyard. This young man was born and raised in Homestead, went away to college, UCF, and he made his way back to Homestead. And I'm quite sure that based on what he's done today and other days, he's made this city proud. I know he's made a lot of us proud. So with that being said, you know, thank you for your service. Appreciate everything you've done. And without your mother and your father, who's in the audience, along with your wife, you probably wouldn't be so successful like this. So thank you all as well. We really appreciate it. Now I'll get the mic to you.
Good afternoon. I have to start off by thanking the mayor and the city council, along with the chief and his command staff, Lieutenant Barker and Sergeant Garcia, for giving me the opportunity to be assigned and work in GIU. I also have to thank the actual GIU unit. All the cases that were presented today would have not been possible if it wasn't for the assistance of GIU and the entire unit to help with the investigation and the takedown of the criminals. And then finally, I have to thank my wife and my family for putting up with me and the long hours and long days to investigate these cases. So thank you guys, I appreciate it.
That includes the presentation. You want to take any pictures, Mayor? We can do that, and then we can move on to the next agenda.
right, Vice Mayor, floor is yours.
We ready? Okay. All right, I'd like to take this opportunity to introduce the artist in the spotlight for October and November at the Seminole Theater. The artist is Mario Almaguer. I think I mispronounced that name completely. But he'd like to come up here and talk about the exhibit and what inspired the exhibit, talk a little bit about your artwork, and then I know you don't have a gallery night yet determined, but to the extent that you have an idea, let people know where to contact you, if you have a website, if you have an email address, where they can reach out to you and learn more about your artwork. So, go ahead, sir.
You want a hand mic?
Muchas gracias por darme la oportunidad de en Honte poder presentar mi obra. Aquí le mostraré algunas de mis palabras que he escrito para ustedes. Gracias por todo.
Thanks for the opportunity to be here presenting my art works. Mario Almaguer was born in Cuba in 1955 in the city of Marianao. The curiosity for the work with metal started in the 70s when he was working as a welder. In 1995, he became member of AGAI. This is a National Association of Artists and Craftsmen. Between 1985 and 1992, he was invited to participate in several expositions and even in La Habana, Cuba. From 1994, Mario resides in Miami, Florida, without any kind of formal academic education or even alternative education in art. Perseverance and praxis made him an artist. His work was born of the conscious connections and research of the rituals and symbolism of the Abaguá secret society of the Afro-Cuban religions. These symbols and rituals were part of the environment of his childhood and totally influenced his perception of the universe. Years later, he discovered the work of the famous Spanish architect of the 19th century, Antonio Gaudí, which introduced him to the third dimension, where he then connected the syncretism and volume, giving birth to his work. Among the repetitive ritualism elements found in his work are nails and eyes. The interdimensional planes of the spiritual, astral, and geometrical form, as well as organic and animal forms in unison with industrial and inanimated elements. This project is the sum of all of this concept and experience. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. It's unique to have art where usually most of the ones we've had exhibited so far have been artists and have had paintings and photos, and so it's great to be able to see that we have some metal sculptures in the Seminole Theater. It's a new type of art that hasn't been displayed nearly as much, and some very beautiful art. So I wish you the best of luck as far as displaying, and hopefully everyone comes out to see his work at the Seminole Theater. So.
We would like to invite everybody present in this meeting to come to the Seminole Theater to join all Mario's artwork.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Burgess?
Thank you, Mayor. It's my honor tonight to bring the Lopez family here to honor them and honor their father, husband, and loved one that has passed away recently of cancer. Francisco, or Frank as he was known of around town, was a dedicated servant to the city. He helped us for 14 years on our pension board. 9 of them he served as the chairman, never missed a meeting even while he was sick. So I thought it was our duty as a council to say thank you to his family for all that he gave to us as a city, and sitting on the pension board and being a dedicated board member, as we know, is a difficult thing to find, somebody that stays 14 years and never misses a meeting. Unfortunately, we weren't able to tell him thank you, so I thought it was appropriate for us to tell him and his family thank you. So if I could get the Lopez family, and this is hard for me because he was a friend of mine too, Ileana, Adrian, Alana, and his granddaughter, Sophia, if they would all come up front, I would like to give you guys the honor that we were unable to give Frank. And Adrian also serves the city now as he sits on our planning and zoning board. So the tradition has carried on from one generation to another. So we're thankful for him for his dedication and help too. As I think you've been there, what, 4 years, 5 years?
Seems that long, but only 3.
Probably seems like 10, right? But anyway, I'm proud today to proclaim this. Francisco Frank, as he was known, or Frankie, as we learned from some others at his service, A. Lopez Day. And we read this way. Whereas Francisco Frank A. Lopez was born on February 7th, 1952 in Isabela, Puerto Rico, to Jose Francisco Lopez and Ada Ponce. And whereas in 1995, Frank and his wife Ileana and son Adrian relocated from New York City and made Homestead, Florida their new home. And whereas for over 20 years he worked as a financial advisor and executive assisting and educating families in Homestead and throughout South Florida on how to invest and make informed financial decisions to save for their future retirement and all the good of their families. Whereas in 2004, he was appointed by the mayor and council to the City of Homestead Firefighters Pension Board, serving his city and community for over 14 years, 9 of which as he served as a chairman, bringing his experience, knowledge, and expertise to the board. And whereas during his tenure as chairman, Frank was a true dedicated leader who made sound business investments, decisions, and was attentive and compassionate to the needs of the pension beneficiaries. Always upheld his responsibility of being a fiduciary to the board with honor and integrity, and never missed a board meeting, even during his brave but courageous battle with cancer. And whereas the City of Homestead expresses its sincere appreciation and recognizes Francisco Frank A. Lopez for his years of service, work, and dedication to the City Firefighters Pension Board, while instilling the importance of civic duty, responsibility, and pride in the community. Now, therefore, be it resolved that this proclamation be presented to the Lopez family in honor of Mr. Francisco Frank A. Lopez for his dedicated service and total commitment to the City of Homestead, presented the 17th day of October 2018 on behalf of the city and its mayor, Jeff Porter. Thank you very much for you guys.
Thank you.
And we thank you very much for all that Frank did for us as a community and helped us out. And Adrian, thank you for your help these days now. So
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, he was proud to do that. He
Here,
wanted to give
speak
back
up
to
here.
the city. My husband was very proud to serve the city of Homestead, and I'm proud of him because he took it very, very serious that he wanted to give back to his community, and that's why he did what he did. Thank you so much, council members and mayor.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Just give it to me because it's heavy.
We can take a picture with you, John.
do it now? Come forward. All right, I'm gonna close out this meeting right now, and we're gonna reconvene the council meeting at 6 o'clock. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to call the Wednesday, October 17th, 2018 council meeting to order. It's approximately 6:05 p.m. This evening, we were supposed to have the invocation by Pastor Conrad de la Torres. I don't see him here. So at this time, we're going to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, Councilwoman Bailey and our police explorers. Could you please rise?
Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Arms. Left. Face. Forward. March.
Thank you. Please be seated. Thank you, Ms. Bailey, for the pledge, and Police Explorers, we always are appreciative of their being here for us. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilman Burgess. Here. Councilman Roth.
Here.
Councilman Maldonado. Here. Councilwoman Bailey.
Here.
Vice Mayor Shelley.
Here.
Mayor Porter.
Here. Any additions, deletions, deferrals? None? Is there a motion on the consent agenda? Is there a second?
Second.
Any comments? All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Public hearings, Mr. Attorney?
Yes, please be advised the following items on the agenda are quasi-judicial in nature. If you wish to comment upon any of these items, please indicate the item number you would like to address when the announcement regarding the quasi-judicial item is made. An opportunity for persons to speak on each item will be made available after the applicant and staff have made their presentations on each item. Swearing in. All testimony, including public testimony and evidence, will be made under oath or affirmation. Additionally, each person who gives testimony may be subject to cross-examination. If you do not wish to either be cross-examined or sworn, your testimony will be given its due weight. The general public will not be permitted to cross-examine witnesses, but the public may request the council to ask questions of staff or witnesses on their behalf. The full agenda packet on each item is hereby entered into the record. Persons representing organizations must present evidence of their authority to speak for the organization. Further details of the quasi-judicial procedures may be obtained from the clerk. In accordance with Code Section 2-591, any lobbyist must register before addressing the council on any of the following items. At this time, council members must disclose any ex parte communications concerning any agenda items.
Mr. Roth?
Tab 9.
Ms. Bailey?
Thank you. Also tab 9.
Vice Mayor Shelley?
Tab 9.
Mr. Burgess?
Tab 9.
Tab 9?
Yes.
And myself as well. Okay. Hold on.
At this time, the clerk will swear any persons who wish to testify in any quasi-judicial item. Anyone wishing to speak, please stand and raise your right hand to be sworn by the clerk.
Please repeat after me. I. Please state your name. Hereby swear or affirm that the information I present shall be the truth and nothing but the truth. So help me God. Thank you. You may be seated.
Tab 9 is a resolution of the City of Homestead, Florida, granting site plan approval for an approximately 5,224 square feet expansion of an existing daycare center facility on an approximately 1.43 acre parcel located at 505 Northeast 18th Avenue as legally described in Exhibit A and providing for an effective date.
Mr. Cordino,
Yes,
report?
sir. We recommend that the mayor and council approve the proposed amendment to the previously approved site plan for the expansion of the daycare center at the subject address. This was originally approved, I believe, in 2007, and the rules of our plan say that we can administratively change a site plan if it's less than 5% of the space of the site plan. This isn't, it's nearly double, so we have to bring it back to you. We've reviewed this to our code, and it's in compliance with all of the code, but the space is doubling, and I believe the number of students is also doubling, but it does comply with the code, so we're recommending approval.
All right, sir. Any questions from council? Mr. Roth?
Thank you, Mayor. The 5% rule was put in place for what reason? Does anybody know?
That predates us, I would imagine, because it's kind of a negligible amount that means it's insignificant and almost has no significant impact on the development. And I believe that it makes sense that the code wants all significant changes to come back to the council so that they can approve them.
Right, so would significant be 50% versus 5%? Because if somebody wanted to add, in this example, 250 square feet to their business, that would go over the 5%. They would have to come and go through the whole process to get to this point. And how much time did that process take for him to come before us today?
Yeah, well, it goes through our regular process, which means they submit an application, they pay for it, they go through a development review committee process, they go to the planning zoning board meeting, and they go to the city council. So it can be a 4 to 6 month process with fees and all of the application that the applicant has to pay for their representatives as well. It's a decent process.
Maybe my question is there a reason why we can't change it to bring that number up some so it doesn't, I mean, if someone is able to expand their business, they're obviously doing something right and they need to do so. But to put such a small cap on it, so if someone's got a 5,000 square foot building, they want to add 1,000 square feet to it, they got to go through that whole process. It doesn't make that big of an impact on the community, and it puts a big strain on the person who's trying to do that, who's only trying to expand their business that has had success already, and it just seems like it's a hindrance to them. And I'm just asking, maybe there's a possibility that we could increase that number so long as it's within the guidelines that are set up already, where it doesn't have to take that long to get to this process.
It's purely a policy decision. I believe that you all can set whatever standards you want for administrative reviews.
Okay, so I guess we can bring that back later for discussion. I don't want to take up too much time on it, but
Sure,
I just wanted to ask that question so that I was clear that we don't, it takes so long to go through this process, and this is somebody who's already made a commitment to the city, is already operating a business in the city, and they come and want to expand and they run up to these kinds of things. So I just think I would like to try to see if we can make it a little bit easier in the process later. But I think 5% is very small. I mean, it's almost like a shed. If they want to add a shed to their property, they don't have to come before us for that. They got to go through the permit process, which is okay. But that's all. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mayor.
Sir, any other questions? You're welcome to come speak if you like to. Usually, no questions is a good sign. Welcome to come up at the time if you want to. Okay. Any other questions, Mr. Burgess?
Thank you, Mayor. No, I just wanted to say that this facility has been operating for a while. They keep a very clean piece of property over there, and it looks like it's a well-run facility, and I think it would be an addition to our community to have this place expand. So I'll be in favor of this expansion tonight. Thank you.
Yeah, I agree completely. Yes, sir. Just name and address for the record, please.
My name is Ron Cawley. I'm the owner of Bricks Early Learning Center, 505 Northeast 18th Avenue. First want to thank the council members and the mayor giving me the opportunity to come here. I really don't have much to say. I'm here to answer any questions that you have, and I'm ready to build. So, and I want to thank Michelle Lopez, wherever she is, for her and her staff. So they did a good job of getting this through for me and helping me and guiding me. So I want to just say thank you to that and leave it up to you.
All right, sir. Very good. Thank you very much. Any other comments from council? I'll open up the public hearing at this time. Anyone from the public would like to come and speak in reference to this item, you're welcome at this point. Seeing none, close the public hearing. Is there a motion? Is there a second? Moved and seconded. Any final comments? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Bailey? Yes. Councilman Maldonado?
Yes.
Councilman Burgess?
Yes.
Councilman Roth?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Shelley? Mayor Porter?
Yes.
The motion carries.
Tab 10, let me ask a question. Tab 10 and 11 are the same. Can we put them together?
Yes, Mayor.
Read them
I can introduce them collectively. You could have a presentation, discussion, public hearing, and then close it and separately take a vote on each item.
You got it. Thank you, sir.
So tab 10 is a resolution of the City of Homestead, Florida, granting site plan approval for a proposed 184,735.33 square foot self-storage facility on an approximately 4.03 acre parcel generally located north of Northeast 8th Street, east of Northeast 18th Avenue, south of 308th Street, and west of the South Florida Management District C-103 Canal, as legally described in Exhibit A, and providing for an effective date. Tab 11 is a resolution of the City of Homestead, Florida, granting the request by STOR-ALL Acquisitions, LLC, for tentative plat approval for the development for 184,735.33 square foot self-storage facility on an approximately 4.036 acre parcel of land generally located north of Northeast 8th Street, Campbell Drive, east of Northeast 18th Avenue, south of Southwest 308th Street, and west of the C-103 Canal, as legally described in Exhibit A and providing for an effective date.
Mr. Cordino?
Yes, sir. We're recommending approval of the site plan request. And as the attorney said, this is about 185,000 square foot request for a self-storage facility. This facility is going to be built in with two buildings, a three-story building of about 168,000 square feet and a one-story building of 16,000 square feet. It's going to have 32 parking spaces. It conforms with all of the requirements of our code. In 2007, there was a similar site plan that was approved for a self-storage facility on this site. I think that that time it had they changed the zoning to allow it. It had a 5-story building on it, but that development was never completed. So this, I believe, fits into that envelope very nicely, complies with the code, and a little bit less intense, and it really had already been approved, and we're recommending approval.
All right, sir, thank you. Any questions from the council? Mr. Burgess.
Thank you, Mayor. To Mr. Cordino and his staff. That area over there is a tough entry and exit or onto and off of Campbell Drive. Can you explain a little bit of how, other than just using the center turn lane and getting them in and out of there across, there's another shopping center in that vicinity right there, the racetrack, gas station, and Lowe's and all that, which all kind of will be stacking up in that area. So what are we doing to help facilitate the egress and ingress of that property there? Or what is the applicant got to do to help?
I'm looking at the plans. I don't believe there were any special traffic plans on this sheet that facilitated. I thought the traffic was planned to move in and out of there with the ingress and the curb cuts that would exist. No special callouts or deceleration lanes.
I mean, I know they're not going to have a lot of, they're not 100, 200 trips a day, or at least I wouldn't suspect that many in and out of there. But that's a very busy corridor, and it's very, very tough to get all the way across to go eastbound or westbound, depending on which way you come out of the other properties that are already on that highway. So I was just wondering, as we move forward, perhaps we need to make sure that we pay attention and look at those things in the future, because any little snarl there, it shuts us down a major artery in, from east to west.
Understood. I think you're right there. The traffic analysis didn't look like there was a whole lot of trips there to bog down that intersection. So I thought from the review that it would move pretty smoothly with no special considerations. It is a low impact.
I wouldn't imagine that, they're not a 400 or 500 trip a day like a Lowe's or a racetrack gas station or anything like that. But I just didn't know. But in the future, can we just make sure that we make sure we analyze that, especially because that road is becoming a big headache, and as we put more and more things on there, it's only gonna.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Roth?
Thank you, Mayor. Not only the access to the property, but that's a shared driveway with the racetrack gas station, is that right?
They have an access, you want to come speak to the applicant, want to speak, he'll give us the details, but they do have an access easement, yes.
But they're actually taking that straight through, they're
Yes.
using the exact same entrance as the customers for the racetrack, they'd be using that same access road.
Yes, sir. And I'll let the applicant explain the
I'm going to
detail.
reserve and let him do his presentation. Thank you, Mayor.
Yes, sir. Just give us your name and address, please, sir, for the record. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Commissioners. Good evening. My name is Felix Pardo. I'm the architect for the project. My offices are located at 2100 Zalzito Street in Coral Gables, Florida. I am the architect for STOR-ALL. We design self-storage facilities throughout the state of Florida. And this particular project, so you understand, the Commissioner brings up a good point about the type of issues that we may have there on this particular site. When the property was developed by Racetrack, they put in 3 lanes on that particular side, in other words, the east side. So we have the ability, we have the ingress, and we have 1 left turn and 1 right turn lane. One of the great things about a self-storage facility is that the amount of impact on traffic is, and parking and use, as far as a type of use that might be a negative use, it is completely opposite. We generate almost no traffic. We generate very little parking, and the amount of employees are minimal when it comes to this type of facility. The second thing is that we hired David Plummer and Associates, which are one of the finest traffic engineering firms in the state of Florida. And their conclusions were very, very specific that we would not have any issues whatsoever of ingress and egress there. I understand the Commission's concern up and down Campbell Drive, but we are not the ones that are going to be generating that. It was master plan, this particular parcel was master planned this way with the primary use of upfront on Campbell, and we're recessed backwards. We won't have any type of issue as far as any backup onto Campbell Drive, and the exiting is minimal based on the proof that was provided by the traffic engineers. They provided a report that was staggering when it came to the depth and the breadth of the report. And the conclusions were crystal clear, and that's why staff recommended the way that they did.
The councilman asked a question specific to entrance. Are you going to share an entrance with the racetrack?
That is correct, and that's what I was alluding to, that the existing driveway is there. It actually is built up all the way up to our property line, and then that is part of the cross-access agreement that exists between that particular parcel owned by Racetrack and also by the balance of the parcel. So the lanes are there. They're very specific. They're extremely organized, but I understand your concern. But we are not adding we're not adding to any mischief out there on Campbell Drive.
You have the floor, Mr. Roth.
Thank you. Yeah. I just, how many spaces, storage spaces will be constructed there? You got 3 stories, you got 184,000 square feet in total.
We have a mix, Commissioner. I don't know what the exact number is. We do have a mix. The smallest ones are 5 by 5. The largest ones are under your code requirement. So they're not large. These facilities normally, what happens is that people rent them out. They come, they place their materials there. They're not running businesses out of this facility. So the amount of parking and parking generation is minimal.
Yeah, I mean, to not know how many spaces, you got to figure 184,000 square feet, you got to have 400 spaces there, right? I'm just asking the question, just for reference for me, because I don't have a traffic study in here to look at.
I feel uncomfortable guessing, Commissioner. I feel very uncomfortable guessing, but we have a mix. There's just a percentage from very small spaces. The largest spaces are also relatively small. This is not like a regular warehouse.
Will they be doing any truck rentals out of there?
I'm sorry, sir.
Will they be doing any truck rentals out of there?
No, sir. There are no truck rentals whatsoever, and there's also no outside storage of any way, shape, or form.
So it's all air conditioned?
Yes, sir. All of it is air conditioned.
Storage. My only concern is kind of, as Councilman Burgess mentioned, is the amount of congestion and traffic that's there. I understand that you won't be adding to it, but people who may be using your storage facility coming from the west heading east that want to turn into the gas station is already a problem there. That we have many accidents right there at that intersection. And although they may not be driving in 18-foot trucks to drop off their belongings to store, which was a concern too, if people were going to be coming in and out of there with larger trucks, there's no true access for them safely to get across Campbell to head east once they come out of that facility. And I don't know how anybody else up here feels about the traffic in that specific area. I was just concerned that the shared, parking, across driveway access there is not sufficient to sustain that many units. And I don't have a traffic study here. It's not in my book here to see what they, did. And I'm going to leave it for that for now. That's my biggest concern, is the traffic in that area and the accidents that have happened in that area. And I'd hate to the fact that you're not having truck rentals is good for me, because you're not moving 20-foot trailers in and out of there, and so there won't be any U-Haul rental business there. There won't be any Hertz or any of those guys that are going to be stacking trucks back there, and then they got to come out through the racetrack, and it's a big mess there too. So I'm going to leave it at that for now, Mayor. I'm going to listen to others. Thank you.
Mr. Cordino, I have a question. The island that's in the middle of Campbell Drive right now, kind of semi in front of racetrack. Tell me technically why that needs to be there, because to me, that's a huge part of this problem, because people can't stack and turn into the racetrack. There's a very limited space to stack and turn into the racetrack gas station. But I know you've got people stacking to go southbound on 15, whatever that road is, 162. Technically speaking, engineering terms, does that need to be there?
I mean, the islands are there. I would imagine it needs to be there because the county had planned it that way, and there was a reason for it. I don't recall exactly what the rationale for it was, but typically they're to control movements and control traffic flows to prevent accidents. Everything's designed for safety. In the case of this development, and I'm trying to pull up the traffic analysis now, but it is a self-storage facility, and I believe that the trip generation was minimal on this facility. It really had no impact.
And again, I'm not asking the question specific to this application. I'm kind of following what Mr. Burgess was talking about in general with the racetrack. That facility continuously, there's trips in and out, and there's always, people in the middle of the road trying to get in and out. Where it works better is down in some of the other retail strips where there is no barrier in the middle of the road, and people can, that center lane is a turn left or right. People have been able to navigate that a whole lot better than right there in front of that racetrack. There's really, as everybody said, there's no place to go. There's no place to stack, especially if you want to go eastbound out of racetrack. And if you're coming westbound into racetrack, there's no place to stack. So, I really would like for us to see practically why that needs to be there. If there's some sort of, if there's some sort of real rationale that makes it safer with that being there, somebody's got to convince me, because I don't really see it being anything but trees and stuff in the way where cars can't move around. So that's kind of my 2 cents. I don't think there's a problem with, my personal feeling on this particular issue, I don't think that the self-storage is going to be a traffic problem, other than, like you said, Mr. Roth, if it's big tractor trailers pulling in and out of there, that could be an issue, especially if they're coming from the west to east, because they can't get there. They can't even stack up. So, but if that island weren't there, technically, and I'm not an engineer, but it seemed like it would work better without that being there. Mr. Burgess?
Thank you. We may not be traffic engineers, but we do drive that road and know
drive
what
that
works,
road.
sometimes better than a traffic engineer. So, and I concur with you, Mayor, because not only does, and this is kind of off subject, but that island also inhibits people from stacking up to make that left turn on 162, which then backs up the traffic east and west, westbound. But going back to this gentleman's project, I mean, I know that there's very minimal traffic use there, but to me, that racetrack entrance needs to be improved, because if you go out there right now, the way that people use it, even though there's supposed to be three lanes, you very rarely can get 3 cars that are stacked in there. And I think there's some improvement and some widening or something that would need to be made so that trucks could make a turn into there, even if they were to swing out and go to the middle of the road to come in there. I watched the guys come in there with the tankers for the fuel, and it's very tough for them to get in and out of there. Right. So I'm in favor of this, but I think that we need to have some improvements on the entrance and the exit way that's going to be used. Perhaps it's widening or whatever, and I know that traffic engineer is going to say, hey, that's within code or whatever. And I won't tell you what I usually say to the traffic engineers that are standing at the podium, but it's not usually favorable.
Commissioner Burgess, if I may, I would like to address both you and Commissioner Roth on this. I've designed a lot of these buildings, and one of the things that makes this type of building very unique is we do not have trucks. In other words, we can have a truck come in, but an apartment building with people moving in and out, they'll have a moving truck.
Yeah, but even and I don't mean to interrupt, but even a U-Haul truck or a Hertz rental truck that comes in there with a family moving just a little bit of stuff in and out, or if a corporation, it's hard to get in and out of that entryway. And I've got no problem with the project that you're going to build, but I have a problem with the raceway entry already.
Correct, and I understand and I respect your comment, especially with the tanker trucks when they go in to refill there. You're absolutely 100% right because of the size of the truck and the turning radius of the truck. The only turning radius we had to worry about really on the design on the inside was when we went to Miami-Dade County to make sure that the fire trucks could get around, which they can't. So we have the radiuses there for them to get in and out to service the property. But the thing is that the type, when we design these mini storage buildings, there is a very, very high percentage of people that simply go in regular automobiles, regular SUVs.
I'm one of them.
Exactly, regular minivans. It is not, I can understand more in apartment buildings with moving trucks because you're moving an entire family out from one apartment to another destination, and they do it all in one move. In this particular case, it's usually a person that goes out to pick something up or to drop something off in their facility.
Right.
So the great majority of these...
But that goes back. It's very difficult for 2 cars to line up in that entryway. One to turn right, one to turn left. It can't happen. There's not enough room there with somebody trying to make a turn in, because what happens is that turn is so sharp to come in that if there's a car that would actually be sitting in the left-hand or going the left-hand turn lane, he can't enter. So then he stacks up whatever's out in the road because he can't get in. I'm just asking for a little bit of help here for the city and for its residents and for whoever the customers of this place would be for both businesses. Perhaps you need to go back to racetrack and see if they'll help you, but I would certainly like to see some improvements on the entryway.
Mr. Mayor, what I would propose to do, because we are very good neighbors. I mean, we are really good neighbors, and we're very thoughtful when it comes to this. This is just a very unusual situation because we're basically going through somebody else's property to get out, because it's the only access. If not, we're landlocked, and we wouldn't be able to build, and we can't do that. But the thing is that what I would be more than happy to do is that we need to get this project approved this evening. We have constraints that are business constraints that are really putting tremendous amounts of pressure on making this project doable. We are a very good corporate citizen, and we are very serious about what we do. But to try to make sure that the commission feels more comfortable, we don't mind going out and since we have already a traffic engineer that's got an impeccable reputation, to look at this with staff and make any suggestions of possible improvements to that. I know that, for example, we won't be able to do certain things because Raceway may not allow us to do it, although we have a cross-access agreement. And one of the reasons, creating an island, creating that kind of thing, it may actually impede that tanker truck of coming in or out.
No more islands.
Right, right. No, I know.
No more islands.
But what I'm saying is, we'll take a look at the measurements. We'll show it to staff. We have absolutely no issues with that. We have an excellent civil engineer, but we have also a superb traffic consultant. I would just like to be able to say, not as a condition, but as a promise that we will talk to staff and we will address it, and staff can inform the commission individually or to make sure that they understand that if I make a promise, it's going to be kept. And that's the only thing that I could offer at this particular time. The traffic engineer isn't here. It's a kind of question that is a good question, but I think that they have to look at it from a different standpoint, the same thing as the radiuses that we look at and the widths that we look at for the fire department to be able to get their apparatus in. We would take an approach of looking at that particular entrance and seeing if it could be improved. And hopefully if the city agrees with any recommendation, remember, we have to be able to get Raceway to agree with us, and we don't mind paying for that type of improvement there on the inside. I think that's more than reasonable.
Mr. Cordino, do they come back before us for any other items, if we okay these two items tonight?
Say that again, please?
Do they come back for any other items if we okay these two tonight?
No, they're done after this.
They don't, okay.
We can condition it, sir.
I mean, I don't, he's in a tough spot because it's not his property that we're asking to be improved, I don't believe, correct?
It's a really tough spot because we basically, it's a three-legged race.
Yeah.
And the thing is that with racetrack, we need to first get in touch with them. They've been fine up to now. And then, but what we would offer is have our consultants look at it first.
Well, this is the condition I'd like to put in there. When the traffic engineer comes down here, I'm out there with him. And I don't want him looking at a piece of paper telling me A, B, C, D. I want to go out there, stand on the corner, hold his hand, and show him what I'm talking about.
I don't mind being out there with you because I want to see it. At the end of the
Yeah.
day, it's got to be a well-designed facility.
Right.
We have a good reputation.
No, and I'm not doubting any of that. I'm just saying that's a very tough intersection already. Right. And I'm not saying that you guys are adding, you're adding a minimal account to it. I understand because I go to self-storage all the time. But it's a very tough spot, and if we can make some improvements here to help our citizens, now's the time.
We want this to be a safe entrance for everyone.
And that's all that's what I got. So when you bring your engineer down, make sure you call me.
Yes, sir, I will.
Give you his phone number. Mr. Roth. Mr. Roth.
Not to carry this on for too much longer, but that whole stretch of road, regardless of the project or not, I'm for the storage. I know we need storage in the area. The safety of our citizens, the people who drive up and down that road, and I concur with what John is saying as far as maybe reevaluating that entranceway. And I get the fact that you're landlocked and you're at the mercy of the racetrack folks. I don't know if you had thought about it, but there's a 20,000 square foot lot that's vacant attached to the racetrack property that may be available, which would help you with access to your property as well. It's a 20,000 square foot vacant lot that butts right up to your property. That's to the west of the racetrack property, and you may want to contact them as well. That would solve all of this, but I know that's going to take some time. So are we going, John, sorry, do we condition this already?
We should.
Well, finish.
Okay. Because I will go ahead and move this forward, but with the conditions that Councilman Burgess had discussed. So I'll go out there too and talk to the survey guy, you know, that's fine. And I think that just, and I'm not an engineer either, but I think that medium everybody's talking about down Campbell is so that to prevent people from heading east out of that other exit out of the racetrack, because it's so close to the light. So, but I'm happy to move it forward as long as it's conditioned the proper way.
Okay, before we accept a second, Mr. Cordino, give us some guidance on the condition. Give us some
May
guidance.
I have a little
I would
conference with Mr. Cordino right now?
Turn your mic off. Joe, turn your mic off.
Okay, gotcha.
Hold on.
What's that?
Go ahead, you're on now.
Okay. All I would suggest, because what they don't do is own the property next to them. The development across the street is that Sunny Lee development. Remember, we were trying to get medians and cuts and all types of things there, which was extremely complicated. A lot of these factors are going to deal with Miami-Dade County safety, traffic flow, movements they're trying to prevent, and other things. So I would just say we condition this on the re-examination of the driveway geometry and the Campbell Drive median, and see what we can do to improve traffic flow in that area. But we couldn't necessarily promise that we would be able to get any improvements, because it's really not the purview of this. These guys are not causing the problem there. The problem currently exists, and so they're not really on the hook for this type of thing. But the condition to re-examine it, and we go look at it with their traffic engineer and consult with the county and see if we can't. It sounds like we have a turning radii problem getting into the facility, and maybe that's a redesign of the driveway. So it's just you make the curb radius a little bit wider so that it's not as sharp as a turn in. Maybe it's widening of it a little bit. There are probably some solutions that staff, Public Works, and their consultant can maybe figure some things out that may make it a little bit better.
That's your motion?
All that?
All that?
Did somebody
That's
write
your
that down?
condition. I mean,
Well, the thing would be to condition the re-examination of the driveway geometry and the Campbell Drive median. So we're going to examine the driveway and the median and see if we can improve it.
Yes.
is there a second? You second it? Okay. All right. All right, this is, any other comments, Mr. Vice Mayor? Vice Mayor Shelley?
You want to go out there too?
Huh?
You want to go out there too?
Just have a council meeting on the street out
we'll
there.
have a
but-
quorum out
No,
there.
so I understand I have the same concerns and I guess that my colleagues do about that intersection. I think it works absolutely horrible, that area. It nothing but a traffic jam. I've had to avoid accidents coming in and out of those places as well. But my only concern is I don't think that this particular applicant, and I'm not really excited about the project one way or another, but I'm not against it either. But I don't think this applicant is causing any additional problems. So my only concern about the conditions as we've now discussed them, because first was, what are these conditions? And now I understand kind of what the conditions are, but they're a little ambiguous. So my concern is they want to go forward and build their project. Now, how long is this process going to take for these conditions, to have the meeting with the county, to have the traffic engineer come out there? And so how far are we now going to potentially back up their ability to build, because this condition is so fuzzy that we don't even know what we're asking you to do, and even if we have you find some issue, we're not requiring you to fix it. So that's my only concern here, is the condition that we're placing on them could be a little overburdensome in their ability to move forward in the future. So, I mean, I'll support whatever the majority here does, because I'm indifferent on this project, but I do think it's possibly could lead to unintended consequences on the backside. That's all I wanted to raise.
Commissioner Shelley, you make an astute point. One of the things that has become extremely problematic for all municipalities in Miami-Dade County, which I've discussed with Alice Bravo, the Transportation Public Works Director for Dade County, is that when they look at traffic now in Dade County, they have gotten to the point that they've become very aggressive, that they go into the project, almost usurping the jurisdiction of the particular municipality. So all of a sudden, your Public Works Department is looking at internal movements, et cetera. Now they're going in there and they're opining. And normally, they're opining things and requesting things for their approval that are outrageous. And I had this discussion with Alice Bravo because it's becoming a problem, not only for private sector projects like ours, but public sector projects like yours. City of Aventura has nightmares. City of Coral Gables has nightmares. City of Miami has nightmares with the people in traffic analysis for Miami-Dade County. If we get thrown into that scenario, we'll never come out of there alive. I have seen it based on my experience. It is a disaster. I would feel extremely comfortable dealing with our consultants, dealing with your city, and looking at this to see if there's any way we could do anything that's solvable to alleviate an existing problem that's there, as long as the city agrees with it and as long as Racetrack agrees with it. Because at the end of the day, if Racetrack says no to us, I don't really want to be in purgatory where I can't get a building permit. And we are ready. The last time that this property came up before this commission, that thing expired. We're ready to start construction tomorrow. And we are literally waiting to get in there and do this. We will take this very seriously, and we will address it immediately starting tomorrow. And as soon as we address it, we would like to have one point of contact here at the city and deal with the city. But if we get thrown into a Miami-Dade County traffic study, it's going to be a killer. And it's not because they'll ask for something, they'll ask for things that are not relevant to our particular project. And I've seen it time before. I've heard mayors and commissioners from other municipalities absolutely throw their hands up in the air. So I wanted to put that on record.
Yeah, no, I just say that's my concern. Whatever the majority does, I'll go along with. But that's just, I have some concerns.
Okay, nobody answered the question of a timeline. Joe, best guess?
Best guess for what? Involving the county?
Yes, yes. Best guess for involving the county.
Way too long. They're backed up, and we'd end up submitting an application, and it would take months to get through those, let alone the studies that would have to be done. It's an untenable position, but they're in charge of the road. It's a section line road coming off the turnpike.
We're going to have a problem on that intersection anyway. That as Mr. Roth spoke, you got a vacant lot next door. The front side of that's going to be some sort of a retail component. This is probably, at the end of the day, probably the best use for this property. 885,000 square feet that has hardly zero impact on an already overwhelmed roadway. At the end of the day, this is a really probably almost the best thing we could ask for at this particular point of time on that particular section of Campbell. The whole road's a mess, and there's no right-of-way.
In that sense, I don't believe it's, in this case anyway, it's not the developer's responsibility. Maybe we take that on as a citywide project in coordination with Miami-Dade County. I'd hate to hold, it could take 6 to 9 months to get through that process with no guarantee that we're going to get anything out of it. And then we've got a developer that is waiting, possibly the deal falls through, and then isn't really responsible for paying for it in the first place.
Okay. Mr. Mayor, we could promise anything from the property line, from behind the sidewalk in. We just can't promise anything out.
Understood. Mr. Burgess?
Oh, and ultimately, that's my goal. My goal is not to include the county, because when we bring other agencies, we see it right over here on Chrome Avenue today. If you ride up and down Chrome Avenue and see what the state demanded from a new building being built and what the city wanted are two different things. So to bring somebody else in and have them in charge of our stuff unless necessary is not what my goal was at all. My goal was just to ask the applicant, knowing that the property wasn't his, if he could reach out to the owner of the property and see if we can make some improvements there while they're here tonight, because Racetrack's not going to show up and say, hey, can we do anything to improve our property? Unfortunately, you know, and once they're built, we can't do anything. But this gentleman is a position, he's working, he's dealing with Racetrack on a regular basis. Perhaps when he reaches out to them, say, hey, they had some concerns. We went back out, we looked at it, we understand their concerns. Can we do a little bit of work out here to improve it? That's all I'm looking for. Not to bring another agency in and to tie them down or burden them with anything that they can't do, because, like he said, he's not even in control of the land. Right. They're doing a drive-through there, basically. So, and that's all I was just trying to get, is make the point that I believe there's a little bit of improvement that needs to be there. Perhaps you can use some leverage with the people that you're dealing with to see if we can do it. It's not to burden you with another thing through the county or anything like that. I believe that you will come down and Mr. Cordino and whomever your point of contact is, we can take a look at it, and you bring your engineer back down here and do whatever, and we take a look at it and see if there's something that can be done. It can be done, and I understand it's not yours, and we certainly don't want to bring the county down here and burden anybody with their headaches for a year.
And Mr. Mayor, the only thing I could add is that I understand why the use of conditions. I've sat on planning boards. I've sat on boards where conditions mean things. And the thing is that at the end of the day, the conditions are set as a guarantee that someone's going to keep their word. We're going to do this anyway, whether it's conditioned or not, because I gave my word to two commissioners and the rest of the commission. So we're going to keep our word on that, whether it's conditioned or not. I just hope that the condition is not so cumbersome that it's gonna hurt us severely before we're even out of the ground.
Anything? Is it? Mr. Roth?
Yeah, just one last comment. I'm in agreement with Councilman Burgess too. This was not to bring the county involved, just to improve that property, the entranceway. I believe you got one person trying to get in, you got two people trying to get out, one going west, one going east. That causes a problem. I'm sold on the fact that this is not a high volume or intrusive property. That was never a problem for me. But I think we all like to look for opportunities to improve that stretch of the road there, and it doesn't look like we're going to get it on this project. But Mr. Cordino brought up the fact that we should go after the county and start looking at how we can improve that stretch of roadway. I remember when the Kohl's shopping center came before here, they were asked to widen Campbell Drive X amount of feet or whatever it was, and it'd have been nice if we could have got them to wind it all the way down to US 1, but that didn't work out. So there are some opportunities to improve the traffic flow, safety for our residents in that stretch of highway, and I wish you the best of luck with your development. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Mr. Maldonado?
Well, since everyone threw their kicks in there, might as well jump in. Just kidding. Listen, I'm just going to be honest. I really don't even go that way anymore, just because the traffic is that bad. And so I go around. That used to be my favorite gas station to go to, but like it's been stated here, it's just almost impossible to get in and out of there depending on the time you go in there. So I would just want to just echo the support on Cordino's behalf in regards to how we're looking at this in 312 as a future and how we make improvements to that, because, you know, as we know, we had this discussion, I think sometime about a year ago over on the property that's by off of 312 and 12th Avenue, is it? Where we had this discussion about the traffic light and all that. And this 312, and and I understand what you're saying. Well, this is a county-wide, this is a statewide issue, and it's development process. And you know, so Mr. Cordino, I hope that sooner than later, as soon as possible, we could start working on this. We're going to have to have some extra meetings or anything. I know you guys are all in favor for that and how much you enjoy it, but, you know, some of us up here have a little bit of time left, so if we're going to do any changes that are going to benefit the city, I think we should start working on it as soon as possible. So I just want to really echo the fact that if we could start that process, I'd greatly appreciate it.
Start the process of examining how to
How
to
to,
improve
at
Campbell
312, we got to look at 312. We might look at what's the next street up? 328. You know, things like that. Those main artery roads where, if some major development's going to happen, you know, how can we improve that? Those entrances that we're always dealing with. So that's it for me. Thank you.
And on the heels of that, this, as was said, this property to the east of this development is vacant. Now might be the time to approach and say, let's buy some right-of-way or find if there's a way to get some of the right-of-way before it's got something on it that lets us do a deceleration lane. That would fulfill some of the needs of racetrack, their needs, but it also will fulfill the future needs of what might be on that lot size, whatever is to the east. So I don't know whose responsibility that is, but maybe that should be part of our discussion, you know, going forward. But, okay, right now we have a motion with conditions and a second with conditions. James?
I'm sorry, Mayor. I need clarification with regards to the conditions because the conversations.
Here's the question. Here's the point. Okay, there may not be full support for the motion with the conditions, because I mean, if the conditions at this point bring the county in, correct?
No. What the condition was we'd simply
Speaking in the mic,
re-examine the driveway geometry and the Campbell Drive median. So the way I thought that would be was we would get together with the applicant and their traffic engineer, our staff, our public works staff. We'd go out and look at it and see if there are any simple fixes that we could agree to in the very near term that would make that better, or at least some ideas on how to improve it. And then if we can make those changes, if it's turning radius at the driveway or widening of a lane or something like that, we get the racetrack to agree to it, we'd proceed. If we needed to involve the county, it's well beyond this project, and we likely need to look at a different mechanism by doing that. I got some ideas, but I don't know if you want to go into that here. No. Okay.
James, are you clear with?
Yes, it's a two-prong condition. It's basically that the applicant, in coordination with staff, shall re-examine the driveway geometry and the ingress and egress from Campbell Drive into the development, and also, to the extent possible, coordinate with the racetrack on improvements.
You okay with that, Mr. Roth? Mr. Maldonado? Okay, there's a motion and a second. Now, let me open up this to the public. Anyone from the public would like to speak, you're welcome to come at this time. I'll close the public hearing. Any final comments or questions from council? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilman Burgess?
Yes.
Councilman Roth?
Yes.
Councilman Maldonado? Councilwoman Bailey?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Shelley?
Yes.
Mayor Porter?
Yes.
The motion carries.
That was on tab 10.
Yes.
Okay. On tab 11, is there a motion? Is there a second? Moved and seconded. We've had enough comment from the speaker. Any questions? Any questions from council on tab 11? I'll open up the public hearing at this time. Anyone like to speak, you're welcome to. Close the public hearing. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Bailey? Councilman Burgess? Councilman Roth?
Yes.
Councilman Maldonado? Vice Mayor Shelley? Mayor Porter?
Yes.
The motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. At tab 12 and tab 13, we can do together as well?
Yes, Mayor, we can do that. Tab 12 and 13 pertain to the same project property. So like we just did, I can introduce both of those titles. You could have a collective conversation and discussion, and then public hearing on that, and then take a separate vote on each item.
Go ahead, sir.
So tab 12 is the first reading of an ordinance of the City of Homestead, Florida, amending the comprehensive plan future land use map designation of an approximately 1.53 acre parcel from light commercial use to technology mixed use for property located at 2804 Northeast 8th Street as legally described in Exhibit A, authorizing transmittal, providing for conflicts, severability, and providing for an effective date. Tab 13 is the first reading of an ordinance of the City of Homestead, Florida, approving an amendment to the previously approved Renaissance Plan Unit Development Master Development Plan to permit a 120-foot stealth wireless monopole communication tower on an approximately 1.53 acre parcel located within the Renaissance PUD at 2804 Northeast 8th Street as legally described in Exhibit A, providing for conflicts, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date. And I would just like to note, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Council, that tab 12 is an amendment to the comprehensive plan, which is a legislative matter, but it's listed here under quasi simply for purposes of being able to join them and have a public discussion on those.
Mr. Cordino?
Yes, sir. Okay, so we're recommending approval of both these items. And as the attorney said, the first one is amending the land use so that the land use accommodates the facility that's being requested. The second is putting the use of the tower into the zoning code for the PUD. So what you'll see next month, as these go to second reading, is a site plan for the tower that's coming. So these are governed in our code. The important part of this is they're governed in our code by Chapter 31, which is the wireless communications. And the wireless communications section of the code talks about all the regulations for this type of thing, and what talks about where it should be located, what areas, the zoning to it, the height, the landscaping, the setbacks, and all those things. But of most importance for this analysis, it has a hierarchy of location requirements. And what the code wants us to do is locate these things, co-locate them on an existing tower, either public or private. If not, co-locate them on an existing building, either public or private. And if not that, the last option is create a new facility. And if an applicant wants to create a new facility, they need to prove that they need one. So what they do, much like when the traffic impact analysis comes in, they submit a report from what they call a radio frequency engineer. And the radio frequency engineer has to prove that the co-location is not possible. So that's what the applicant did. The applicant submitted a report from a radio frequency engineer that examined co-location. They identified a pole and a tower in the area and building, and they stated that they couldn't, that those facilities weren't appropriate for the type of equipment they're going to be needing on this tower. They gave us a report on FCC regulations, and they gave us a report on coverage area. And they established that they have a gap in coverage today, and that through the implementation of this tower, the gap of coverage would be mitigated. So at that point, we're effectively compelled to approve the development. And so that's why we're recommending approval of the land use change in 12, the zoning change in 13, and then next month will come a site plan for the actual facility. That's what I got.
Vice Mayor.
You answered a lot of my questions that weren't in the staff report, though. I mean, so that was my first question, is I know that we've dealt with telecommunications before. We've had applicants that have come before us that have asked to put up a tower, and we found that either the study hadn't been done or the study didn't provide that it was entitled to do that. So I looked through my packet today, and I have no such documents in here that you referenced. I don't have the FCC report. I don't have any of that that shows that it is or is not needed, that verifies or doesn't verify that this is something that is lacking or doesn't have any other place to go. I mean, where is that information, or why did we not receive it?
We have that prepared in the package that's coming for the site plan. In retrospect, when I found this was going to be controversial, I believe that it would have been more informative to put that information in with both of these, but it really did belong in the site plan package.
Well, right, but so then my question was going to be, you've answered some of these, but that was going to be one of my line of questionings was, so do we determine that we need the telecommunication towers first, and then we start the zoning process? So that would be part of what I would think, is that I would want to get that information to say, okay, there is a need here. I need to take this action. there is a legal reason why this should move forward, and then I can do the analysis of, okay, is this the right place? Do we make the changes to the land use map? But now what I've got in front of me is I've got to make a change to the land use map, and I haven't even seen the evidence as far as that we need to actually have it. So it's kind of like, why would I do this analysis and then get it all lined up for them to then go ahead and look at it and say, well, yeah, we do or we don't need it. So that's kind of where I was going with it. You've answered a lot of those questions in the opening, which was helpful. But that just a little confusing to me why I don't have what I need to look at.
Right, and then we don't have it because we thought it belonged in the site plan. Again, like I said, in retrospect, I think it's highly informative for this discussion. So what I would recommend perhaps is approve these on first reading. I'm gonna have to ask you first, but I would approve them on first reading, and then as we come back for the site plan, if you don't believe that it warrants these land uses changes, you don't approve them on second reading. Is that okay?
That's correct.
Okay, and that would then allow this process to go forward, put the information in front of you so that you're able to examine all three of the applications at the same time, and then make a better informed decision.
Okay, yeah, and because I had some concerns in general about, I mean, I think my history has been there. I've not supported the last cell tower that we had come up. I don't know that we need a proliferation of these cell towers. At least the last one had a specific tenant, and we knew served a specific purpose. This one, from what I have and the information in front of me, is a generalized tower that will be erected, and then tenants for that tower will be found and assigned to that tower, and then that tower, they'll make money that way. I guess how they're going to sell the space. But there's no specific proof, again, of need for a specific cell phone regulator, cell phone coverage, maybe not even be cell phone, maybe it's some other different type of telecommunications. So that's one of the issues I have here is I don't have any information in front of me other than they just want to build a tower so they can sell the space. And I've never been a big fan of these towers. I don't think they're aesthetically pleasing necessarily in the places in which they're erected, especially now in the middle of a shopping center here. And then they call it a stealth tower. The last one that came before us at least had proposed a flag. You know, it was at least a aesthetically pleasing as cell phone towers maybe can be. But this one in the rendering seemed like a standard tower with all the spikes off of it. I mean, it's just a tower. It's nothing stealth about it. So again, I don't know when that comes before us. When do we actually look at?
That would be the site plan that comes next month.
Right, so again, I feel that you're asking me to make decisions on zoning on something that I may ultimately not like at all because of all the reasons I've just stated, that yes, may be more appropriate for the site plan side of things, but would be part of my analysis on whether or not I need to go through this effort to make this available. Am I not correct?
You are correct.
Okay. So yeah, I just don't feel like, anyways, that's my comments right now. I just don't feel like I have, or it's presented in a way that allows me to, you know, kind of puts the cart before the horse, so to speak. So that's my comments for now. Thanks, Mayor.
Mr. Burgess?
Thank you, Mayor. And I agree with Councilman Shelley. I think that report is vital to our being able to make a decision here. Not only their engineering finds, but what the FCC says as requirements, I'd like to see also. Because, you know, everybody can read a sentence a different way. And I'd like to be able to see that. I asked the attorney, I did receive a letter of opposition today from a Mr. Steve Walker, which I'll send to the clerk so she may send it out and give it to whomever parties would like to have it. And he is the supervisor of the East Homestead CDD for Isles of Oasis, president of the Oasis Master Association, and president of Fiji Master Association. And he sent myself, Councilwoman Faircloth, and Councilman Roth this email because he knows us all personally. I wish he had CC'd everybody. It would have been easier. But he basically says this will not benefit residents of the city of Homestead and the surrounding communities of Malibu Bay, Waterstone, and the Isles of Oasis, which collectively represent over 5,000 homes, likely over 15,000 residents, all of who use the Oasis Shopping Center. Rather, it will forever place a visual blight on our community that we will have to look at for decades as we go about our daily activities. It will cast an industrial feel to the area which now we do not have. We have a beautiful community. We should work to preserve the quality of our community and limit the development that is adverse to the feeling and character of our community. Many thanks, and like I said, I will forward that to the clerk, and I know that there's a outside agency here taking notes tonight, so I'll make sure they get a copy of it also, and then she can forward it all to you, to other council members. So yeah, I'm not sure who this benefits because one, we don't know what radio frequency or who their tenants are going to be. I know that a quarter of a mile, maybe as the crow flies, they just erected a tower down there. So how would these two, and was that tower and what is going to be percolating off of that antenna, has that been taken into consideration when this test was done, do we know?
I believe so. I'll let the applicant speak to the technical
Are they here?
details that they are here.
Okay.
You're welcome to come, please. Just give us your name and address, please. Thank you.
Good evening, Mary Solik, 121 South Orange Avenue, Suite 1500, Orlando, Florida. I'm legal counsel for Vertex Development, and I appreciate your frustration with this process, but I think your staff has really characterized this correctly. We can't do the site plan approval until the zoning approvals are in place, and the zoning approvals both require first and second
unfortunately
reading.
for us, when
But
we
I
get the
can
site,
answer-
when we get the zoning okay, then we're
But-
behind the wagon getting
But
run over.
I can answer a lot
time.
of your questions
One at a time.
now if you would like me to. There is information in your package that does indicate that AT&T is the anchor tenant for this proposed tower. T-Mobile has also expressed interest in this tower, and we submitted RF engineering reports for both AT&T and T-Mobile. The RF design engineer for AT&T, Michael Yanis, is here tonight, and he can talk to you about the service that the tower, that his equipment on the tower would provide, and why the tower to the east that somebody referenced does not meet the service need in this particular area. I do also want to point out that you do have some site plan drawings in tab 12 in your agenda package. They are the initial site plan drawings that we submitted for the tower, which initially was for a 120-foot traditional monopole tower. Your staff has done a very thorough analysis of all of the application materials that we've submitted, and they've put us through our paces, and they pressed us to change our tower design to a unipole design with all of the antennas internally mounted, and we agreed. So what you don't have in front of you is a profile sheet of the unipole tower. I don't know whether you've got do you have a Elmo anywhere, or, yes. You will see that when we come back in November for the second reading for the site plan, but I wanted you to have it today so that you would understand that we are proposing a camouflage facility for this particular location. They also asked us to engineer the pole for a 40-foot fall zone, given the proximity of the tower to the commercial building to the west. We don't generate any traffic. That's good news after listening to the discussion
Can't
before.
fit any more in that shopping center anyway.
So we don't have an issue there. Would you like Mr. Yanis to come up here and talk about AT&T's need in the area, or do you want to hear that next time when we hear the site plan?
Let's get through this. Mr. Burgess, you have the floor, so.
I'm good right now, sir.
Okay.
I would, I just would like to see the reports. I understand AT&T's here, but that doesn't, I would like to be able to read them and go through them and all that. So thank you for the time.
All right, sir. Mr. Maldonado?
Thank you, Mayor. To staff, Mr. Cordino, that code that you had mentioned that you guys went over in regards to our cell phone towers and our antennas, do you know when was it last modified or looked at or done? Can we get a year?
Let me look it up on my phone here and
Okay,
figure out
and so, and the reason I asked that question is because, for those who are not aware, my background is in telecommunications. I'm a network engineer since, as far as I can remember. And I understand, if there's anyone that's for, communication and data and the understanding of its need, it would be myself. But I'm also, and I'm sure we should be aware that if we recall last year, the legislative body just passed a small cell tower legislation where basically would allow carriers to use small cell towers on public right-of-way poles. They cannot do it as of now on municipality-owned power poles, but that's something that is in play. As a matter of fact, I reached out to staff last month, and we're ramping up to have some meetings in regards, and how do we get ahead of this, and how do we help roll that out? Because right now, they can't use our poles to use those small cell towers, but they're working on that on the federal level. And so I'm working with Mr. Estrada, our assistant city manager, and Mr. Gretzes, our city manager, in order to kind of, let's start working on this, because it's, this is very important for us as a community. We understand that. Everyone today has a cell phone, everything is data, I get it. But we have the ability and the right to kind of make sure that we're doing it the right way in our city. We're not saying that there's no, that the study is wrong. For me, it's maybe the location right now at the moment. And so, there's one person at a time, right? Yeah.
I'm sorry, I was reading, only one person at the podium at a time.
Yeah, thanks. So with that, and again, Councilman Shelley, Vice Mayor Shelley brought up, something important, which was kind of when I looked at this, I was like, there's a lot of information. I know that that they have this right, and we've passed through all these laws, and this is what's supposed to happen, but I don't have that information in my packet. I'm not comfortable with this at all, to be honest. I think that, kind of like what I just mentioned to Ms. Cordino, for our 312th Street and this whole mess, I think it's also something we need to look at as well, in the sense of how we're going to look at those. What are the right locations? I don't know. We've never had that discussion, and that's the reason why I asked that. Well, you got an answer for me.
2003 is the
2003.
2003. So it's pretty old.
Yeah. And
Let me just clarify. So there's two different things that we're talking about. We're
Right.
talking about Chapter 31, which deals with wireless communications that are not in the right-of-way. And then we have a different section of the code that deals with communication services in the right-of-way. And that's the statutory law that was changed earlier this year. So two different apples that we're dealing with.
Right. So we don't even know the new one. It's that new, and that's something that we need to work on right away, because this might not be the only applicant. I'm sure there's others that are lined up. We just had one built down the street, which, according to her, it's of no use for those tenants. From my understanding, it would be fine for the AT&T. I'm just saying that you don't have to answer them all. It's okay. So I'm not sure. You have space for 4 providers, and I guess those providers can't use it. We'll find out another day. Not right now. And so, for me, I would like to defer this, and this would be my wish, and I'd bring it up, and so that we get some better understanding of where we're at right now with this. I think that, Mr. Cordino, excuse me, I still have the floor. Thank you. Ms. Cordino, again, my colleague brought up something important. I think there's just information here more information that we need on this. And this was, it was going to be controversial when you found out about it. You mentioned it. And I don't feel comfortable at all with this, what we have before us. Putting the cart before the horse, is the saying? That's how I feel right now. So with that, I'm going to ask for it to be deferred. I don't know where my colleagues stand on this, but I'll give everyone else a chance to echo their concern.
Well, a motion to defer is got. If you're making a motion, I have to accept the motion to defer, and we have to vote on that. If you want us to let the rest of us have,
I will. So
if you'll give us a second,
I want to do that.
Okay. I have a question. Hold on. Yes, sir.
They never reached out to meet with any of us on this project. My colleague, Ms. Furcloth, if would be here right now, she would not be having it. And she's not here right now, and I'm going to tell you this is her community that's impacting, and so they never met with us. They should meet with us, and until that happens, I think that needs to happen right away. All right, thank you, Mayor. That's it for right now.
Yes, sir. James, now, first of all, I need some clarification as to what rights we have, because I'm hearing conversation that cell towers can come in where the need is, regardless of whether or not cities approve of or disapprove of. So tell us what our rights are when it comes to, because if we pass this tonight, we go to the reading and it fails, what does that put us? Do we go to court? What do we do?
Well, I'm happy to, Mayor.
Your mic down, please. I can't hear you.
Sorry, I'm happy to. So I mean, this is a layered approach that you have to look at this, because this deals with federal law at the federal level, the Telecommunications Act. It deals with state law, and then it deals with our local regulations as well. And so all three have to be read together, and all three have to be analyzed and reviewed in the context of a proposed cell tower coming in or a communications facility coming in. And what Mr. Cordino alluded to previously in his statements with respect to what the law is, it's basically that the Telecommunications Act, the federal law, does allow local governments to have the ability over zoning, aesthetics, certain aspects of the application, which you do in your Chapter 31. You have regulations that set forth where the towers can be, the hierarchy sort of situation, where you look to co-locate these things so that there's not visual clutter. But the law also states that if there's evidence that shows that there is a gap in coverage and there is a need that's warranted, that the local government can't prohibit or inhibit the ability of that wireless communication services company or that tower to exist in the community. And so that's why the report is very important evidence for you all to look at and consider. Any materials that you think are necessary for you to look at and consider. Now, there's two ways I think that you can look at this. You can pass it on first reading and take a look at everything on second reading. Passing on first reading doesn't prohibit you to say no at second reading, so you'll have everything. Or if you don't feel comfortable in proceeding with that this evening, you can defer it. That information can be supplemented to the application materials provided to you. That would give the applicant's representative an opportunity to speak with any of you if you all want to have any further conversations with Mr. Cordino, with myself. You can certainly handle it that way. But I would caution against a flat-out denial at this point without either of those two options being on the table for consideration.
Well, I mean, based on what I see, it's a flat-out denial. It's a horrible tower in the middle of a nice shopping center, So, I mean, I'm getting to the point where we can go through the motions and all these things, but at the end of the day, if it's going to look like this, I can't support it. And so I would need to have some clear guidelines, because I'm willing to move it forward, but a month from now, unless something is totally different, there's no way I could support it. I mean, I think everybody up here's got real problems with it. The aesthetics of it, where it's located, that's why it's very key that we know what our rights are and what we can and cannot do, or we end up in court. We stay in court all the time, but I think we all need to know what is going to happen at the end of the day, because based on what's in the packet today, it's a horrible thing to put in that shopping center, my opinion. So let me see, Mr. Maldonado, you got it. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, thank you. James had mentioned exact, and this is it. Look, I did a little bit, we just got this information Friday. Kind of read about it, looked into it, and I did a little bit of research. Pulled some of it up. This is something that's happening throughout the states. There's these companies, and I'm not saying this one in particular, I'm just talking in general. They're erecting towers that are 200 feet, 100 feet, and so, we have as a council the ability, and you mentioned it, James, there are some rights that we do have, but none of us up here are aware of it at the moment. And so, and that's what I'd like to see happen, right away. So for this case, and I'm not saying I don't want to deny it, because I have AT&T. I would love a tower to be there. I have bad signal over there. I've been the first one saying, listen, we need signal over here. But we also have the ability to say where it should be if we got ahead of this. And we need to get ahead of this, because this is not the last one that's going to come. This is the way we're going to do business moving forward in the future, everything that we're doing is through data, cellular data. Our autonomous vehicles are going to be talking through cellular data. I sit on the transportation committee for the Florida League of Cities, and so we're talking about this all the time. So we have the ability to get out in front of it. I just want the council to understand that we have an ability to get ahead of this, and that we don't want, again, we see the court reporter here, we kind of get like, oh, fuzzy about, we're going to get sued or anything like that. We have rights as long as we work within our rights. And that's why James and Mr. Cordino and Mr. Estrada, I'm going to ask for a deferral so that we could, have this conversation immediately. So.
You're making a motion to defer.
With that, I'll make a motion for deferral on this item.
Is there a second for deferral?
I'm sorry, Councilman Maldonado, deferral to a date certain of next month's meeting?
Yeah. Oh, we do? All right. We'll defer it accordingly. Meeting after that, that's what we're looking at, October, November, December. December, listen. We have rights. I mean, I'm not going to be pressured by anyone. I'm sorry. I feel you. I know the importance of what you
let's
do.
see if we can get a second. So there's a motion to defer to December?
Yes.
The December meeting. Is there a second on that motion? Okay, so the deferral to December did not get a second. So we're back to James.
Well, I was going to ask. What I was asking for a date certain. That's because I didn't want to have to go through the process.
The motion was made to defer to date certain December. Was no second.
Right. So this can't be open-ended because there are mandatory timeframes in which we have to act under the federal law and under state law. So.
Okay. So the motion to defer to the December meeting motion was made and seconded by Mr. Burgess. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilman Burgess?
Yes.
Councilman Maldonado?
Yes.
Councilwoman Bailey?
No.
Councilman Roth?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Shelley?
No.
Mayor Porter?
No.
Motion fails.
Okay. Now, let's go back to the question. The other issue would be, I'm not for this, but I'm for passing it tonight so that we can you have homework to do.
My burden of proof.
You have homework to do. Joe, you have homework to do. Council, we all have homework to do. This keeps the ball rolling. But I tell you what, if it comes back in this package like this, we're going to have a fight somewhere. Because you're right, Mr. Maldonado. Everything is going cellular. But what I'm doing tonight is I'm asking the council to give you a chance to live. But ultimately, if it's like this, I don't think the vote won't be the same the next time.
Understood.
So
the actual application where the details of the tower would be presented to you is not on your agenda tonight. And I have a burden of proof in that application, and I think we can meet it. I think we can come in here with the engineers from AT&T and T-Mobile and demonstrate to you why we need this tower where we need it. We can do that.
you need to start tomorrow scheduling meetings with council members. Start tomorrow scheduling meetings with council members so that, because all of us have busy schedules, assuming it passes, let's just put it that
Okay,
way.
so I need to meet with each one of you.
You need to meet individually with everyone to make sure that they understand fully the whole concept of why you want this, where you want this.
Absolutely.
Okay? So the motion to defer passed, did not pass. Is there a well, hold on a second. I've got to get some public hearing in.
So this is, you might want to, I mean, before you decide to defer it, well, it's already, so if there's a motion on the floor to pass this on first reading, for both items, then it'll automatically proceed to November.
With the caveat that the
And all the information
the applicant has a lot of homework to do, and they've got a lot of people to include in this discussion, because as it's stated right now, we've got problems.
Well, I should say, Mayor, it may or may not be November. We can coordinate, Development Services can coordinate with the applicant as to where they are in the process. And so it may be November, it may be December. I think it's too early to tell at this moment.
I thought we were noticed for the 28th of November. We're not? Okay.
Okay, let me see if I can get a motion to pass first reading with the understanding that your team is going to do a whole lot of outreach to the elected officials to explain your...
Yes, sir.
Okay.
But we do need a date certain.
Oh, not if they pass it.
Okay.
We don't need a date certain because we're not deferring it. We're going to pass it. I mean,
We're going to vote on it.
and you're going to vote on it.
I'm going to see if
If it passes for first reading, then we'll notice for second reading.
Okay. The motion is to pass first reading. Ms. Bailey makes the motion. Is there a second on the motion? Can I second the motion so we can vote on it? Okay, I'll second the motion. Now, we got to put a public hearing in here. So at this particular point in time, we've had the applicant. Is there any comment from the public with regards to items 12 and items 13? I know you won't give us your name and your address, but your name, please.
Kim Hill, City of Homestead, the southwest side, Miss Bailey. You know, I'm listening to this long argument with all this frivolity and the scrutiny about these towers and the cosmetics of it and everything. But yet, when I come down here to talk about body cameras and saving the lives of individuals, especially on the southwest side, I can't get this conversation. Now, Miss Bailey, what if one day that your husband saw a pretty girl on the other side of town and he said, hey, this is where I want to go. Then he wants to come back inside your house and make decisions. Mr. Porter, what I'm asking right now.
Is this about the tower?
Yes, it is.
Okay,
yes,
well,
it is. May I continue to speak
then.
because I have my time?
Yes, you do.
Okay, because I'm speaking metaphorically, but just because you don't understand, well, let me just say this basically. You decided to go for another job.
This got to do with the tower.
Yes,
get to
it
the
does.
tower.
Yes, it does.
Okay, get to the tower.
Why are you cutting me off? Can I come up here and cut you off?
I'm asking
Are you going
to
to
get
give
to the
me
tower.
time to speak about the tower?
Do it, please.
Yes, I am. What I'm saying about the tower is looking out for the best interest for the residents of the city of Homestead. You should recuse yourself. You should recuse yourself for making such a major decision. Now, we all have bad service and everything out there in that area. So towers would be good in one way. But I think that you should recuse yourself and not have this meeting December. How about having it after you're out of office? Because this is something major. And you're coming in with the shenanigans and making major decisions pertaining to the city, sitting up here making votes and coming up with all kinds of diatribes for and against certain things. You shouldn't be up here. You should not be up here at all because you decided to jump the gun and try to run for office where you got 5 votes and the state proved that they didn't want you. Now you want to come here and make decisions, major decisions, that are going to affect the residents of Homestead that you were not dedicated to. So, to all the members up here, and to this young lady who's up here presenting this nice little thing, or maybe a bad thing, you should recuse yourself in all fairness.
Thanks for your opinion. Any other comments from the public? This is on items 12 and 13. Close the public hearing. There was a motion and a second on tab 12 for first reading. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilman Roth?
No.
Councilwoman Bailey? Councilman Maldonado. Councilman Burgess. Vice Mayor Shelley. Mayor Porter.
Yes.
The motion
Fails.
fails.
Okay, where's the next motion? James, what's the next motion? Can't get a deferral. Somebody defer it again. Somebody defer it again. Can we defer it again?
Yes, you can.
Okay, somebody make a motion for deferral.
Someone can proffer another motion to defer. And I would ask that you specify.
Hold on, Vice Mayor.
A time frame so that.
Vice Mayor.
All right, so my question there is this. From a legal standpoint, obviously the votes don't seem up here to pass this thing. So it looks like the council, at least at this moment in time, is not going to move this thing forward. So we have options to defer it, or we have options to deny it tonight and move on. If we deny it tonight and move on, do we have enough of a record made to protect ourselves in the best possible manner for our decision that we make tonight? Or is it better for us from a legal perspective to defer it and verify that we have the information we need, and then make a decision after all the information in front of us?
The latter is what I would suggest for you.
Okay, so then I'll make a motion to defer.
Is there a second? Second. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Bailey.
Just defer it.
Councilman Maldonado. Councilman Roth.
Yes.
Vice Mayor
Yes.
Councilman
Yes.
Burgess. Mayor Porter.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Tab 13, is there a motion on tab 13? We did a motion. No, we need a motion on tab 13. Is there a
Tab
second?
13.
Moved and seconded to defer.
At 13, right?
Tab 13. Roll call, Madam Clerk. I'm sorry? Same thing. Same exact.
Defer.
Motion to defer. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilman Roth. Councilman Burgess. Councilman Maldonado. Councilwoman Bailey. Vice Mayor Shelley.
Yes.
Mayor Porter.
Yes.
The motion carries.
Tab 14.
Moving on to tab 14. Tab 14 is an ordinance of the City of Homestead, Florida, approving the rezoning of an approximately .61 acre parcel from liberal business B3 zoning district to government property GP zoning district for a city-owned property located at 301 Civic Court as legally described in Exhibit A, providing for conflicts, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date.
Mr. Cordino?
Yes, sir. We're recommending to approve this ordinance rezoning from B3 to government property. This is the deal with the property catty-corner to this building and transferring it over or selling it to the community college, and their requirements are that it be government property. So we're recommending we make this change moving forward.
Questions from council? Any comments from the public? This is a public hearing. You're welcome to come forward at this time. Seeing none, close the public hearing. Any final comments from council? Is there a motion? Moved and seconded. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Bailey. Yes. Councilman Maldonado. Councilman Burgess. Councilman Roth.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Shelley.
Yes.
Mayor Porter.
Yes.
The motion carries.
Tab 15.
Tab 15 is an ordinance of the City of Homestead, Florida, approving the rezoning of 6 parcels totaling approximately 1.04 acres from restricted retail commercial B1 zoning district to government property GP zoning district for city-owned properties in the downtown area generally located south of Northwest 2nd Street, west of Chrome Avenue, north of West Maui Drive, and east of Northwest 1st Avenue, as legally described in Exhibit A, providing for conflicts, severability, and an effective date. This is first reading.
Mr. Cordino?
So we're recommending approval for this rezoning to government property of these 6 parcels of land. The rezoning is consistent with our comprehensive plan. I believe this has to do with Losner Park, and it fits in with the grant application that we're submitting, and we're recommending
Any
approval.
questions from council? This is a public hearing. You're welcome to speak at this time. Seeing none, close the public hearing. Any final comments? Is there a motion? Is there a second? Moved and seconded. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilman Roth. Yes. Councilman Burgess. Yes. Councilman Maldonado. Councilwoman Bailey. Yes. Vice Mayor Shelley.
Yes.
Mayor Porter.
Yes.
The motion carries.
Before we move to tab 15, I need to ask council, can I move up the last item for the grant? The ladies sit through this whole thing all the time. Tab 24, could we move that forward before we go forward? Any opposition? Moving up tab 24, grant application. Mr. Attorney? You're on.
Mr. Mayor, tab 24 is a resolution of the City Council of the City of Homestead, Florida, accepting a grant award from the U.S. Department of Justice Office on Violence Against Women in order to provide victim advocacy services to victims of domestic violence, dating violence, and stalking, approving the grant agreement, authorizing the city manager to execute the grant agreement, establishing a budget in the amount of $610,890 for the expenditure of grant funds, and providing for an effective date.
Mr. Manager?
The Police Department has applied and been awarded a grant from the Department of Justice Office of Violence Against Women. The grant award is for $610,890. The grant award will fund support services for victims of domestic violence and sexual assault. Services include therapeutic intervention, relocation, legal representation, judicial support, and safety planning. Through this grant, 4 agencies are funded to provide victim services: SOS Mujer, DADE Legal Aid, and Vida Law. These agencies all work in collaboration with Homestead police officers and detectives. There's no match to this grant. Staff recommends Mayor and Council approve the attached resolution authorizing City Manager to enter into a contract with the Department of Justice Office on Violence Against Women for $610,890 grant.
Any questions on accepting the grant from council? I'll open up the public hearing at this time. Anyone that would like to speak on accepting the grant? Seeing none, close the public hearing. Is there a motion? Moved and seconded. Any final comments? Roll call, Madam. Mr. Roth? I'm sorry, Mr. Roth. Hold on.
As normal, I got to point out the author of this grant, Sandy Nanny, 600 and, how many thousands was it? $610,000 grant that she wrote for the benefit of the citizens in our city. So I just want to say thank you again for a job well done, Sandy.
I want to steal something from Major Kennedy. The 2 ladies, one is named Wells and the other is Fargo. I thought it was really good, cute. Yeah. Anything else, Mr. Ross?
That's all, thank you.
Okay, it's moved and seconded. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilman Burgess? Yes. Councilman Maldonado? Yes. Councilwoman Bailey? Yes. Councilman Rawls? Yes. Vice Mayor Shelley? Yes. Mayor Porter?
Yes.
The motion carries.
We were on tab 16, right? Ordinances, James?
Mr. Mayor, this tab 16 is an ordinance for second reading. It's an ordinance of the City of Homestead, Florida, amending the City Code of Ordinances by amending Chapter 28, Utilities, Article 8, Electricity, Division 7, Net Metering Program for Customer-Owned Renewable Generation Systems at Subdivision B, Rate Schedules by amending Section 28-426, Applicability, to revise Tier 1 and Tier 2 classifications for renewable generation system customers, providing for inclusion in the code, providing for severability, providing for conflicts, and providing for an effective date.
Mr. Manager? Any? Okay. Barbara?
Through the manager, this amendment to the code allows for the Tier 1 of renewable generation that the customers can put on their homes, things such as solar panels. It allows for that tier to move to a little bit larger size. Currently, Tier 1 for residential customers is up to 10 kilowatts of power production. And this change to the ordinance allows to move that up to 15 kilowatts for power production. And the change is because homes are a little bit larger and they have the capacity with the size of the rooftops to be able to put a little bit larger solar systems on their roofs. And by taking the larger solar systems out of Tier 2,
It also provides for, well, Tier 2 currently requires the customers to secure and maintain general liability insurance coverage in an amount no less than $1 million and to name the city as an additional insured. So by taking those systems between 10 to 15 kilowatts out of that tier, it removes that insurance burden from our residential customers. And staff recommends approving the amendment to the ordinance.
Thank you. Any questions from council? Seeing none, this is a public hearing. I'll open it to the public. Any questions or comments from the public? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Do I have a motion on tab 16?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilman Bailey, Councilwoman Bailey, Councilman Ross, Councilman Maldonado, Councilman Burgess, Vice Mayor Shelley.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Tab 17.
Yes, this is an ordinance for first reading. It's an ordinance of the City of Homestead, Florida, amending the budget for the city's general fund for the fiscal year beginning October 1, 2017 and ending September 30th, 2018 by increasing the total budgeted revenues and expenditures by $12,829,100 related to new market tax credit transactions for Homestead Station, providing for a repealer, severability, and an effective date.
Staff report.
Staff recommends mayor and council approve and amend the fiscal year 2018 budget for the general fund for $12,829,100, reflecting the appropriation of funds, revenues, and expenditures for the Homestead Station New Market Tax Credit transaction approved by the council at the June 20th, 2018 council meeting. This is a housekeeping item. As such, the budget amendment is not an obligation of funds.
Any questions from council? Seeing none, this is a public hearing. I'll now open to the public. Any questions or comments from the public? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Do I have a motion?
Move it.
Moved and seconded. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Bailey, Councilman Ross, Councilman Maldonado, Councilman Burgess, Vice Mayor Shelley.
Yes.
The motion carries.
Tab 18.
Yes, tab 18 is an ordinance for first reading. It's an ordinance of the City of Homestead, Florida, amending the budgets for each of the several funds and departments of the city for the fiscal year beginning October 1, 2017 and ending September 30th, 2018 by increasing the total budgeted revenues and expenditures by $10,800,000, providing for repealer, severability, and an effective date.
Mr. Manager.
To date, the city has incurred approximately $10.4 million in disaster-related expenditures because of Hurricane Irma, which made landfall in South Florida in September 2017. In fiscal year 2017, the city funded $5 million from various funds into the Disaster Relief Fund. In fiscal year 2018, the city needs to fund an additional $5.4 million. The purpose of this amendment is to appropriate $5.1 million from the general fund and $300,000 in hurricane fees from solid waste fund and a transfer of total of $5.4 million into the disaster relief fund. The city does anticipate being able to recover most of those expenditures through FEMA reimbursements. However, at this time, because no funds have yet been awarded to the city as of 9/30/2018, we must provide an alternative source of funding from the existing sources identified above. Once FEMA reimbursements are realized, these funds will be actively reimbursed accordingly. Staff recommends mayor and council approve and amend the fiscal year 2018 budget for the transfer from the general fund and solid waste fund into disaster relief fund as per the attached schedule.
Any questions from council? Mr. Burgess.
Thank you, Mayor. To the manager, I know tonight in the consent agenda, tab 7, we okayed a consulting service to help us with this. Have they expressed any kind of time frame, or have we even gotten to those type of discussions with them when they'll help us with things and do things like that? And
Carlos?
Still green.
Since we just approved that, we haven't really sat down with them and talked to them. Okay. That'll start tomorrow. But we do have two major projects that have been submitted. We've already gotten questions from from FEMA. We're working on that, but there's still a lot more, and that's where we're hoping that this company will definitely assist us.
It's also typically it works sort of rolling. So the first batch comes in, they come back with questions. So it depends on what ends up clearing through their process, and it kind of rolls in. Most of the cities are kind of going through the same thing, believe it or not, a year later. The lucky cities are the ones that saved some money so that, you know, they can function without having to borrow. One city had to borrow money just to keep going. So when people ask about that $1 hurricane fund dollar, see, it doesn't last very long, and that was a small storm.
No, and I understand. I just didn't know if when we were doing our interview process or any questions like that.
So far, no, but hopefully, you know, I'm sure, I would say we're nowhere near the big dollars yet, I think is fair to say.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Sir, any other questions? This is a public hearing. You're welcome to come speak for or against tab 18. Seeing none, close the public hearing. Any final comments? Is there a motion on tab 18? Is there a second? Second. Moved and seconded. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilman Maldonado. Councilwoman Bailey. Councilman Roth. Councilman Burgess. Vice Mayor Shelley. Mayor Porter.
Yes.
The motion carries.
Tab 19.
Staff recommends Mayor and Council authorize City Manager to award bid 201832 holiday decorations to the second lowest, most responsible bidder, Clark Sales Display, in the amount of $81,620 a year. This is a 3-year contract with 2 one-year annual renewals. As part of the bid process, staff examined the displays provided by the 2 lowest bidders and determined that the displays provided by Clark Sales Display are superior in quality compared to the displays being provided by the lowest bidder, Florida CDI LLC Christmas Designers. Section 1.8B, award of contract to the bid document, allows the city to award the bid to the most responsible bidder conforming to the solicitation, and that is most advantageous to the city. Clark Displays will furnish all labor, equipment, and materials as required for installing holiday decorations. Decorations included lighting decorations, pole, trim, garland, lawn standing, 7-foot candy canes, and Christmas tree, 23-foot in height. Clark Sales Display has been the incumbent vendor providing the city's annual holiday decorations since 2005.
Any questions from council? This is a public hearing. Mr. Burgess.
Maytan, I'm assuming this is your department. We'll be covering the same areas as we usually do, or will this be scaled back any?
Yes, sir. Yes, Councilman Burgess, it's the same areas, and I guess until the bypass goes into effect, and we'll probably have to look how they redesign that, of course, the design, but see what we're going to put on the poles there. But more or less, it's all the same areas that we've been doing for years, and of course, the Christmas tree and the 2 reefs at City Hall.
Okay, thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, sir. This is a public hearing. You're welcome to come and speak. Tab 19.
So, what we're saying is we have money to put lights up for Christmas and decorating candy canes and everything, but we don't have time to have a discussion about body cameras. We don't have money for body cameras. You know, we live in a time and a day and age where African Americans can sit in their house and policemen can just go in and shoot them. We look at a day and time where we know transparency is extremely important, Ms. Bailey. We're looking at a day and time where you still haven't resolved the case of the Edward Foster shooting on the southwest side. But yet, when I come here and try to talk to you all in a reasonable way and add some transparency to all these situations that we have, and you all deny that, and you won't even have a discussion. You refuse to have a general discussion, but yet we can talk about candles on top of poles and lights on top of poles, and we're gonna pay to have this done. Mr. Roth, See, these things are what you call policy-making decisions. You can't just roll up to a park and say, I love you people. You tell us you love us by giving us policies that are going to affect our daily lives, protecting our children, protecting us as residents so we can go home safely, being able to protect the city revenue by not being sued by frivolous lawsuits with things that are going on. So how much is this going to cost? How much will these decorations cost the city? Mr. Gresson, how much is this going to cost? No one cat has your tongue right now, right? Mr. Roth, you know how much is this going to cost? Hey, Vice Mayor, who wants to be the mayor, how much is this going to cost? George, I can't hear you. Oh, okay. All right. That's all you had to say. Have a nice day, sir.
Any other comments from the public?
Mayor, I'm happy to answer
Close the-
that question.
Let me close the public comment, Mr. Manager, and please, as is stated here, go right ahead.
Yeah,
sir.
just so there's no confusion from the public as to why there was silence. Basically, the speaker has their allotted time, and once the time is closed, then we answer the question. The question is $81,620 per year.
Thank you, sir. Is there any other comments, questions from council? Is there a motion? Moved and seconded. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilman Roth? Yes. Councilman Burgess? Councilwoman Bailey? Councilman Maldonado? Vice Mayor Shelley? Mayor Porter?
Yes.
The motion carries.
Resolutions, tab 20.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Tab 20 is a resolution of the City Council of the City of Homestead, Florida, approving property-assessed clean energy PACE programs with the Florida Green Finance Authority, the Florida Resiliency and Energy District, and the Florida PACE Funding Agency, providing for authorization, providing for implementation, and providing for an effective date.
Mr. Manager.
Mayor, on March 16, 2016, council approved resolution R20160326, which allows local governments to create property-assessed clean energy programs in order to provide the upfront financing for qualifying energy-efficient improvements to homeowners. Currently, the city has a program agreement with Y-Green to provide upfront financing. The October 9, 2018 Committee of the Whole meeting, council requests staff proceed with preparing a resolution that would open the property assessed clean energy program to 3 additional companies. The addition of these companies will provide homestead homeowners with competitive financing options for their energy efficient improvements. Proposed resolution will open the program to the Florida Green Finance Authority, the Florida Resiliency and Energy District, and the Florida PACE Funding Agency.
Questions from council? Any comments from the public? Tab 20. Seeing none, close the public comments. Any final comments, questions from council? Is there a motion? Moved and seconded. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilman Burgess? Yes. Councilman Roth?
Yes.
Councilwoman Bailey? Yes. Councilman Maldonado? Yes. Vice Mayor Shelley?
Yes.
Mayor Porter?
Yes.
The motion carries.
Mr. Attorney, can we put 21, 22, and 23 together?
I can read them all into the record, and then you can have a
we'll vote on
discussion about them.
individually. Okay, thank you.
Tab 21 is a resolution of the City Council of the City of Homestead, Miami-Dade County, Florida, approving and adopting a law enforcement agency mutual aid agreement between the City of DORAL and the City of Homestead, providing for an effective date. Tab 22 is a resolution of the City Council of the City of Homestead, Miami-Dade County, Florida, approving and adopting a law enforcement agency mutual aid agreement between the City of Miami and the City of Homestead, providing for an effective date. And tab 23 is a resolution of the City Council of the City of Homestead, Miami-Dade County, Florida, approving and adopting a law enforcement agency mutual aid agreement between the City of Sweetwater and the City of Homestead, providing for an effective date.
Mr. Manager, anything?
Mayor, the police department maintains a number of bidirectional mutual aid agreements with other police departments providing for assistance to be rendered between the departments when requested. The purpose of these type of agreements is to clarify and grant law enforcement jurisdiction by the agency requesting assistance to the agency rendering the assistance and provided for under law. The agreements allow either agency to request assistance from the other when needed for large events, emergencies such as hurricanes and/or other disasters. Staff recommends Mayor and Council approve the attached resolutions authorizing the city manager to enter into mutual agreed agreements between the City of Homestead Police Department and the City of DORAL Police Department, the City of Miami Police Department, and the City of Sweetwater Police Department.
Any questions from council on tab 21, 22, and 23? They're all mutual aid agreements. Done it before. I will open up the public comment on 21, 22, and 23. Anyone from the public? Close the public comment section. Is there a motion on tab 21? Move it. Is there a second? Second. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilman Maldonado? Councilman Burgess?
Yes.
Councilwoman Bailey? Councilman Roth?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Shelley?
Yes.
Mayor Porter?
Yes.
The motion carries.
The motion on 22, moved as a second.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Bailey?
Yes.
Councilman Maldonado?
Yes.
Councilman Burgess?
Yes.
Councilman Roth?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Shelley? Yes. Mayor Porter?
Yes.
The motion carries.
There's a motion on 23. Move it. Moved and seconded. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilman Roth?
Yes.
Councilwoman Bailey? Councilman Maldonado? Councilman Burgess?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Shelley? Yes. Mayor Porter?
Yes.
The motion carries.
We've done 24 already, so next item on the agenda is public comments, and we've got Ms. Woods here tonight. Ms. Woods, could you come forward, please? I know you probably have we have a 3-minute time limit, okay? Thank you.
All right. My name is Amber Woods. I live at 15,000 Southwest 296th Street, Homestead 33033. Good evening, Mayor and Council. I am here tonight to draw attention to November, the upcoming Epilepsy Awareness Month. Epilepsy is a condition defined by unpredictable seizures caused by unusual nerve cell activity in the brain. It is often referred to as an invisible disease because you simply can't tell that someone has it just by looking at them. It is sometimes hard to identify, and nowadays there aren't just 1 or 2 types of seizures. There's actually over 30 now. And it's more common than you'd like to think. 1 in 26 people will be diagnosed with epilepsy in their lifetime. That's, if you'd like to imagine, about 1 student in every classroom. And 25% of the cases diagnosed this year will be children. And unfortunately, not every teacher knows how to recognize a seizure, let alone handle one. 1/3 of the people diagnosed with epilepsy will also suffer from anxiety and depression, and about 22% are going to have a battle with suicide. Seizures can also go incredibly wrong and lead to dangerous accidents, broken bones, and even drowning. Today, there's all kinds of research being done, and we have medicines, surgeries, marijuana, the keto diet, and all kinds of things, but you never know if it's going to work or not. People with epilepsy have to rely on others constantly for help. Kids can get bullied in school after seizing in public, and it can be embarrassing, scary, and incredibly tough on loved ones. Today, we have the Epilepsy Foundation of Florida that helps with their website, efof.org, to make people feel a little bit better and to help with research and learning about it. So what I'm asking is that the City of Homestead recognize November as Epilepsy Awareness Month, light up City Hall the color purple, encourage staff to wear purple, and to do research on what a seizure is and how to handle it. Thank you.
Thank you.
I forfeit my 40 seconds.
Okay, let us have the you want a question, Mr. Maldonado?
So you're going to be helping with that information as you work with us to kind of help make that happen?
Sure, if you need it, I'll be here.
Okay. Make sure we'll reach out to you.
Okay, thank you very much, guys.
Mr. Manager, now, what is our next meeting prior to November? She's asking for.
Right, we wouldn't have another meeting. There's a couple of things I want to mention because I knew this day would come, and I was worried about it and the first person that comes up with a cause, and a good cause, of course, we face this dilemma, which is there's a lot of colors in the spectrum. And I've done a little research here in terms of what all these colors represent, but I'll just read you some of the colors. There's black, blue, brown, burgundy, cloud, copper, cream, gray, green, gold, jade, orange, peach, pearl, pink, purple, red, silver, teal, violet, white, yellow. And then for each of those, there's a whole bunch. Like, for example, black represents the 9/11 commemoration, also melanoma, narcolepsy, primary biliary cirrhosis, sleep disorders. Blue is addiction recovery awareness, and arthritis, and a whole colon cancer, colorectal cancer. I could go down the list. There's a lot of them. Blue is National Hydrocephalus Awareness. Blue jeans denim is genetic disorders. Indigo is raises awareness for crimes committed against targeted individuals. Light blue is Addison's disease, chronic illness, Cushing's syndrome, Graves' disease, prostate cancer awareness, thyroid disease. Navy blue is arthritis.
We got it.
So I don't know how many months we have, but we have 12, and we do October is as breast, and we do the holidays, we do the red and green. But beyond that, if you're going to start doing these other colors, you might want to start thinking about which causes you want to prioritize. There's only so many, and then the question becomes, which ones do you put over others? And is it first come, first serve? Is it like only in government do we make these kind of problems? But we have a building here to run, and these are legitimate questions. And if really what color you're going to light the building to highlight an awareness really is policies, and it's your decision ultimately. We'll make them any color you want, but
let me say something, because public comment section, we're at the end of the month. This is going to require a value, a cost to the city. We're not going to have a meeting prior to the next, to the 1st of November. We don't want to start the precedent either of answering, dealing in the public comment section and allocating money. This is always where we get into problems.
Sure.
So, I think what we could do at this particular point maybe encourage staff to wear purple on, if there's something like that. But causing an expenditure without any of us having any, real idea of what that expenditure may or may not be, without having some information on the table, I think it's too late in the game. I think if Ms. Woods wants to do something, maybe start talking about something next year. But at the 17th of the month prior to, I don't think anybody's going to be real, and I don't want to set the precedent of allocating funds in public comment. That's a road to nowhere.
Okay.
So, I'm only one person. Anybody else wants to weigh in here, but I think if we can encourage staff to wear purple or something along that line, is just as a voluntary thing. But I think Ms. Woods, if she's interested in trying to do that, go for a future date, not at this particular late date in the schedule. So I think you've made the awareness, so.
And also, there's another cause that we at the time didn't have the lights to do it, but this would be a second cause that we were requested. And so these are starting to pile up, and you might just want to give that some thought. Autism was the one that was requested. The lights weren't ready for that, but so now this is another good cause. And if you do you'll find it's not only diseases, but there's also other social causes and all kinds of different things that people care about.
At a future not so busy Cal meeting, maybe throw that on as a discussion item for us to kind of, maybe we can talk it through at a future date. But I don't think anybody really feels comfortable allocating an unknown a value to something right there at this point. So, Ms. Woods, we'll continue to talk about it. Okay, so that's the only public comment card I have. Mr. Manager, any business?
I just wanted to congratulate Chief Roll. He's not here tonight, but his son was one of 4 that were named to the 2019 Hall of Fame football. So it's University of Miami coach surprised reporters on a conference call Thursday afternoon by announcing the 2019 University of Miami Sports Hall of Fame football inductees, and Antrell Roll was one of the 4. So congratulations to Antrell and the chief and his entire family.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Attorney, anything? Nothing? Business from council, Ms. Bailey, anything?
Nothing's fine, thank you.
Mr. Burgess? Sorry.
Thank you, Mayor. No, quickly, I just want to tell staff that East Mallory looks great. Appreciate you guys getting that job finalized for all those people that travel up and down that road. Perhaps we can reach out to our friends at Brightview and say this is a standard that we would like to see around the city. Perhaps they can do that. And then I know Mr. Brea is out tonight, but the Public Works, I believe it is his department. I had asked him to check on a bus bench at 312 in front of the McDonald's there. And I haven't seen one place there, but people are continuing to use shopping carts and any available item that they had to sit on. That's a rather busy stop for both the county buses and our shuttles. So I was just wondering if we could make sure, see if we could facilitate some assistance to the people out there.
Yes, I'll make sure and follow up with Mr. Brand, and we'll follow up on that.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Sir, thank you. Mr. Roth? Nothing, sir. Nothing, sir. Mr. Maldonado? Nothing? Vice Mayor? Gotta have something.
Thank you, Mayor. Just something real quick. The upcoming National Parks trolley season is getting ready to kick off. We have the trolley part that we do with the NASCAR races. It's always that Thursday before the big race. We get people that are coming to NASCAR to actually come out and see our national parks. So that's the first part of the trolley season, but the changes are coming in that usually we start the trolley season right after Thanksgiving. We've decided to shorten the season this year to start the day after Christmas and run through Easter. We did that for a couple reasons. One was to save some dollars, which with the Tourism Advisory Committee put some monies up that they have from their budget. And ultimately what we're going to do is fund TVs to be installed in the trolleys with GPS-triggered narrative tours. So in the times in which we can't get rangers, live rangers, to man the trolleys because the national parks are having some funding issues of their own, we're hoping to install these TVs will allow the GPS-triggered narration to go on for the people that are riding the trolleys. The benefit of this also is it doubles for our normal trolley routes, and that we can turn around and put together narrated tours about the city of Homestead for our normal week in and week out trolley route. So it's kind of a double win there, and that was helped fund by the Tours Advisory Committee. And by shrinking our season, we took some of the dollars that normally put toward the operations of that trolley to then put toward the hardware. Next year, we may expand the season afterwards. The other thing we're doing this year to refresh the trolley is that we're adding some stops. So on your way back from Everglades National Park, there'll now be a 15 or 20-minute stop at Robert is Here, so everybody can stop and see the local fruits and vegetables, pick up a milkshake on their way back, as well as a stop on the way east of Biscayne at the hotels. So anybody at the hotels, the main stop there at the hotels, can catch our trolley, go to Biscayne National Park, or then ride that trolley back to Homestead Bayfront or downtown and then start their trip in another direction. There's also been some discussion with Robert is Here and Schnebley Winery about having a spur trolley that runs from Robert is Here up to Schnebley Winery and maybe to the Alligator Farm. So the little National Parks trolley is now starting to get bigger and change and become more dynamic. So I just wanted to give the council an update, and you'll get more official notification as we get closer to trolley season. So that's all, Mayor. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Under my business, we have some vacancies. Southwest Advisory Committee, we've got 1 vacancy. We've got 2 vacancies on Art and Public Art Committee, and then we've got 1 vacancy on Community Relations Board. We're just announcing that publicly. And obviously, if you're interested in any of these 3 committees, you can submit your application to the city clerk, and she will get that moved forward. I'd like to also just say to the Vice Mayor, in your business role with FarmShare, and want to say how grateful we are for what you've been able to do through FarmShare to go up and help the, the people in the Michael ravaged area, right out of Homestead, right out of East Homestead, and it's amazing the amount of material, food, water, diapers, all those incredible things that people don't realize they don't have until they don't have them. I think it's amazing what you've been able to do through Farm Share, and having Farm Share in this community has been a blessing, and now it's a blessing to the people in North Florida. So kudos to you and the team. And how many thousands of pounds have you moved?
Just for disaster relief up there for Hurricane Michael in the last 5 days, it's about 700,000 pounds distributed, and then originating from our facility about 1.3 million pounds. So
That's a lot of relief. So, we've been through it, and we appreciated all the relief effort that was sent our way, and it's nice to be able to see your team be able to give that back to the people in North Florida, because it's been horrible. It's been horrible.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Mr. Burgess?
Just one quick item, if you're done with that, sir. Congratulations on it also. Before I forget, though, Madam Clerk, can you make sure that that email gets distributed to the proper channels that I believe I sent to you during the meeting? Otherwise, since there was a court reporter and all that here tonight, I just want to make sure that gets put out. I don't want to forget that. I forgot to mention it.
Absolutely. No problem. No problem. Any other comments? Is there a motion to adjourn? Moved and seconded. All in favor? Motion carries. Good night. Thank you.